Thanks again, Doofy, for agreeing to do the intro for us.
How are you? Good?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, I'm good too. Yeah, I'm working. You working?
As a matter of fact, I am working. We're working. We're doing it right now. And the podcast you're going to be introing today is the Dave and Creech Show. Do you know that podcast?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, my mom said, don't listen to that show because they say bad words and bad things and stuff and, naughty parts and things like that. So I'm not allowed to listen to the show, but when I'm in my room with my vacuum, I listen to the show, and I tell my mom, don't disturb me while I'm listening to the Dave and Creech Show.
No, Creech.
Yeah, Creech.
I do believe your phone broke up a little bit there, but it did sound like you said Creech. So once again, just intro yourself, say, hi, I'm Doofy, and you're listening to the Dave and Screech minus the S, just remember that, on WROM Radio.
Okay. Hey, everybody, this is Special Officer Doofy, and you're listening to the Dave and Creech Show. That's Screech without an S, on WROMQRS TUV. And Bingo was his name, radio.
Hold on 1 minute. Just say Creech, and it's WROM.
Okay. Here it goes. I'm pooping my pants. Hold on. Hey, everybody. This is Special Officer Doofy, and you're listening to the Dave and Creech Show with that Screech with just an S, no S, on just WROM Radio.
Doofy.
It's Special Officer Doofy. Mom says when I wear this badge, you need to treat me like a man of the law. And I'm always wearing the badge, even when I'm naked.
All right, Special Officer Doofy. Got it. Thank you for your service. Now, I need you to focus up for me. Can you do that for me, Doofy? Please.
Don't touch me. Hey, stranger danger. Stranger danger.
Great. Now what am I going to do? Hello?
Hello, Creech.
Who is this?
This is the killer. Do you know where I am, Creech?
Well, you FaceTimed me, so it looks like... Is that my bathroom?
How'd you know that? Hold on. I see a Pokemon. Hold on. I gotta get this. Hold on. Wait. I'm on my app. Got it. Yes. Now, do you know where I am, Creech? I'm not playing Pokemon Go.
No, hold on a minute!
Hello, everyone. This is the Ghostface Killer. You're listening to the Postmortem Dave and Creech Show on WROM Radio. Do you know where I am? Keep listening, or I'll gut you like a fish. Siri, please find the David Davidson's house.
This is the Dave and Creech Show, the only podcast where podcaster CJ Creech and actor Dave Sheridan come together to talk all things entertainment with your favorite entertainers. Want to ask our guests a question? Tweet them to @Dave or @CJCNOV88, and they may be asked to our guests live on the show. We do have to ask you stay seated during the podcast because this ride may get a little bit hilarious. Now here's your hosts, Dave and Creech.
Hey guys, welcome to the Dave and Creech Show on WROM Radio. I am CJ Creech, and I am here with Dave Sheridan.
Hello, everybody.
And we've got a pretty great episode for you today. It's actually a special episode that only has taken 16 years to get to this point.
Oh, geez. That whole type of intro, that's like one of those bad birthday cake things that, like, because I'm not a guy that likes to celebrate my birthdays. And then when you're at the restaurant and they decide to bring the cake out anyway, and they got the 5 waiters that are clapping and singing the song, and you're just like, I don't really like birthdays, and I certainly don't like anniversaries. I love my wife, but I don't like counting anything. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm always I'm a time traveler. I'm living in the future 1 second at a time. Don't live in the past, Creech. I'm a future traveler.
Oh, yes,
So you're going to bring up 16 years ago was Scary Movie. I saw your email. You probably should have kept it to yourself and just shocked me, because I probably would have went, really? Has it been 16 years? All you're really doing, Creech, is saying, Dave, do you know how old you are? Dave, do you know that you didn't accomplish all the things that you thought you were going to accomplish 16 years ago when you were shooting that major motion picture and it was #1, and I was on like Fox News, and I was in New York City on like the Today Show, and now I'm on with Dave and Creech in my bedroom in my underwear on a snowball microphone. So you want to talk about Scary Movie 16 years ago. You know what? You remember how I broke my ribs? Remember I have my broken ribs? Did I tell you that story? Falling from the ladder with the wasp?
I don't think you did. I think you mentioned that you broke them to Paul Logan.
Oh, that's right. That's right, because
Paul Logan, yes.
Because he studied to be a chiropractor, remember?
Yes.
That's so funny.
And you brought that up, but then you didn't really go into too much details other than he was like, you need to get that checked out.
Yeah. So I finally did. I finally went and got my broken ribs checked out 5 weeks later. And because I just, I'm building a house. It's really hard for me to do the work with these things. But I wanted them to heal to a point where I could go to the chiropractor and have them reset and have my spine aligned, and because I knew I bent it out of shape. And so where was that story going? I did. Oh, that's where it is. I went to the chiropractor. She fixed me up. I do feel a little bit better. It's not going to be 100%. You know what I'm saying? You still have broken ribs, or they're still healing. But yeah, a lot of the muscular stuff that goes along with it is because they were out of alignment, and you just got to get that stuff. Because what happens is now I was compensating with my left arm and therefore my left shoulder, which it wasn't as worked in as my right shoulder muscularly. That's all getting sore at night, because everything is janked out of line. So much that my legs were uneven, you know what I mean? And so that starts to irritate your hip and your knees, et cetera, et cetera. So, but she put this stuff, and I can't read it. It's on my back. It's a tape. It's called rock tape or something. But she taped me up, my chest. She taped it with this stuff that kind of tightens up everything to make it feel a little better. And, again, I don't remember where I was going with that, except for the fact that I'm sitting in my underwear with tape on my back. So you want to talk about age. What brought up that rambling? Except for my age.
Scary Movie, I guess. I don't know. It had, apparently.
I meant my old age. The reason I'm rambling is because I'm old, and it's, what is it, 10 o'clock at night? Maybe 10:30, going for 11 probably?
It's currently 11 o'clock, yeah.
11 o'clock. I got a pickaxe in my hand. I had to break all this brick and rubble that's down inside this area where I'm filling my patio, but we have a lot of debris in there, but it's not natural debris like twigs and wood. That stuff can't be in there, because once we pour the concrete, you can't have natural things that would sort of rot. But they said we were pouring brick in and all this other stuff the whole time, just piles of it, dude, right? Trying to do this fill. And then the guy came out, the engineer guy, and he said, no, you can't have all that brick in there. And we started picking out the brick, and that was 2 hours and 97 degrees. And I was like, oh, fuck this. I'm calling another guy. So I called another engineer, and he said, if you smash that brick up to less than 3 inches each, I'll let it pass. So then I was out there this morning at 6 a.m. with a sledgehammer, smashing brick all day long. You get dirty fast. You get sweaty even faster in this business. So there you go. That with the tape, the broken ribs, running over here. That was my dad.
Here we are. Yes, here we are.
16 years later. Is there any questions that I can answer for you just so we can move on from this Scary Movie 16-year thing?
Oh, there's going to be a ton of questions.
Ton? What do you mean a ton? How do you have a ton of questions? You've been chatting with me for months. You should know me.
Technically years, but it's not years, year, but it's not technically for me. It's for everybody out there because they haven't heard most of these stories.
Oh, I don't know how many stories I'm going to tell, man. Have I told you stories in the past, like privately?
You've told a couple, and then you've told a couple on the podcast that I had to cut off for time.
But go ahead. What? Come on, man. Let's get this over with. This is that's what I was going to say. The reason I'm bringing up the tape is because talking about Scary Movie right now, and not so much Scary Movie, but just talking about 16 years, talking about going back 16 years. When you do something 16 years ago, you don't think you're going to be talking about it 16 years from then. Do you know what I mean? So you're not really paying attention that much, first of all. You want to enjoy your life, so you're not trying to record it all with your brain to say, I might have to recall this. I know I have to recall stuff in court probably, so I do remember that much. But anyway, talking about Scary Movie or just talking about my life 16 years ago, dredging up past, whether it's wounds or even good memories, it's like pulling the tape off my back because I just got out of the shower when I came home from smashing all that rock. Remember I told you I was in the shower?
Yeah.
And so the tape is kind of, is it still good? Isn't it good? But it's like giant Band-Aids. You ever yank a Band-Aid off? Like just a little Band-Aid?
Yeah.
All the time. Imagine like super Spencer party gift size Band-Aids that are just like, they're like 1 foot long by like, it's like putting duct tape on your back, basically. Imagine that getting just ripped off your back. That's what talking 16 years ago does to me. So, with that said, okay, Creech, go ahead and hit me with your questions. I'm going to close my eyes.
Okay, I'm going to make this as painful as possible for you.
It's like taking a needle at the doctor, I'm just going to, or when they take blood, you look away. Does anyone really watch the needle go in? Do you ever give blood? Like not give blood, but like you get blood taken?
Yeah, I have. And, before we get into the Scary Movie stuff, I don't really like needles, so I try to not watch, but then sometimes, I try to be macho and be like, you know what, I'm going to watch it, and then immediately regret that. As soon as I start seeing the blood come up, I'm just like, nope, I feel sick. Nope, not doing that.
Exactly. That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to close my eyes. I will answer your questions, but I am not here. Go ahead.
The best place is to start at the beginning. Obviously,
I'm giving you 5 questions.
Oh, well, I could ask some really open-ended 5 questions.
Maybe.
Now, first off, it came out July 7th of 2000. So, obviously, you had to have shot that, 6 months before? I don't know. This is probably... So the lower budget probably had like a month to shoot, maybe?
I think we shot for 2 months. It wasn't that low of a budget. It was $22 million, and back then was probably on a studio level would probably equal $40 million today. Especially since we shot in Canada, where at the time an American dollar, like if I had $1.50 or $2, it would be worth. No, the opposite. If I had $1 American dollar, it would be worth $2 Canadian dollars. Do you know what I mean? So just the actual currency exchange along with like Canadian benefits and kickbacks and stuff like that. So we shot up in Vancouver. We started shooting at the end of August and it went till the end of October.
Okay, so 99, so yeah.
That's right. That's a good year.
That was a great year. Actually, that was the year my sister graduated high school.
You know what else happened that year?
What?
I shot Scary Movie.
Yeah, you did. You had other stuff before then, obviously, because you had mentioned, I believe it was the end with Craig. Obviously, you were known from Buzzkill.
Yeah, who's Craig?
You shot that.
Oh, Craig Moss.
Craig Moss, yeah.
Oh, right.
You shot that with you shot Buzzkill for 3 seasons,
Yep.
and had some fallings out, quote unquote, with MTV over with the Whitney Houston thing.
Yeah.
So you did other stuff in between there. It was Miramax at that time, right? Wasn't quite the Weinstein.
Dimension.
It was Dimension.
That is
Okay.
Miramax. It's just their genre. It was their genre label. You know what I mean? So we weren't quite, stealing Shakespeare or whatever that one was. Shakespeare in Love. You know what I'm saying? So.
Okay, yeah, I got you. Yeah, that's the movie they played in the theater.
Yeah.
Okay, so they had you to a picture deal? Was that what this was? Because I know that they wanted to bring you in for this to do other movies.
Yeah, it was a 2 or 3 picture deal, right? Which was kind of cool because they don't give that kind of stuff out to people anymore, anyway. But what Dimension pays was not all like they didn't break the bank with me. Let's put it that way. I might have been able to buy a car with it, so that was nice. But yes, it was a multi-picture deal, but I didn't make any of the other movies. But I got paid. But I did get paid.
Oh, so you're like Marlon on Batman Returns then?
Yeah, because it was called pay or play. You get a pay or play deal, so it's like, hey, we're gonna put you in 2 other movies, and then if they find something for you, and I was trying to develop stuff with them, things that I've written, that stuff did go into production, but then it didn't get made, and it kind of got shot down and stuff like that. Hey, hold on a sec. I gotta tell my son to close the door. Rock, can you close that door? Thanks. I'm recording my radio show. Come here a second. I got my son. He wants to lie in our bed. Come over here. We're on the radio. Say hi.
Hi.
Okay, so did you know it's been 16 years since Scary Movie came out? 16 years. Do you even know what Scary Movie is?
Mm-hmm.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
It's a movie that you were in.
Oh, yeah? What? Do you know what I played in it?
No.
No? Okay. That's a good thing. I was the killer. Remember I was in that mask? That's right. Do you know where I am? All right, so, well, cool. All right, you want to say anything else to the audience?
No.
Okay, good. Good for you. There you go. By the way, I had that kid 16 years ago as well. So he's 16 years old.
No. No, I was going to say, he totally did not look even 15 last year. About to say.
15? He's 8, dude.
I knew he was young. That's what I said. I knew when I saw him last year, there was no way he could have been 15.
Where did you see him? Was he at the...
When we met in Charleston?
Oh, that's right. We were down for the Cub Scout thing, right? That's right.
Yeah, you were at the Yorktown sweating.
Yep. I didn't come down there this year. I saw sweating it there once was enough, and then we were going to come down and stay at the beach, and I would have hung out with you, but I have to work on this house, so we couldn't even go down for that.
All right, we're back to your least favorite conversation.
So here's the deal. Hold on. That was we're one question in. I told you I'd give you 5.
Okay. Well, I've got some facts to drop first.
Oh God.
Yeah. Actually, I did a lot of research on this, and
well, okay. I'll try to be a little bit more cordial to you. I didn't realize you did all sorts of research and stuff.
I actually did because granted, technically, for this to be the definitive podcast on this, so we don't have to talk about it ever again.
No, I think we should have a better podcast than this at some point. I would definitely like you said, like maybe we'll have Lachlan Monroe on, or maybe Marlon someday. I mean, we have
if he can stop making movies, of course. I
just think we got to get Marlon when I'm with him. You know what I'm saying? We'll call in together.
Yeah, or just something short. But yeah, so I was looking up the information on this, and it actually, looking back now, it came out between 2 pretty big movies, because the week before Perfect Storm came out, and then the week after Scary Movie, X-Men came out.
Yeah.
Which is 2 pretty big movies, and they're impressive movies to be put in between.
Right.
And then when you go so far as to look domestically, for the entire year, Scary Movie actually made the top 10 of the highest grossing.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, it landed at number 9. And actually, X-Men was number 8 and only made about $280,000 more than Scary Movie.
Wow. There's been 5 Scary Movies, and there's probably been 6 or 7 X-Men, right? So
Yeah, indeed. It's pretty impressive. Like, I mean, I saw it, and it was good, and obviously it's had a following still be talked about, not just by me 16 years later, but I didn't realize at the time or even now that it did as well as it did do. I mean, other than obviously that it kept spawning sequels.
Oh, but you didn't know, so you never looked it up before, or you weren't really aware of that?
I wasn't, and actually,
for the longest time, it was the highest grossing rated R movie for the longest time. But I think recently, where almost every movie now at a certain level comes out as a rated R comedy. When comedies are made, they're almost rated R. So there definitely has been, like, whether it's The Hangover or something like that. And plus, you have to understand that ticket prices were $7.50 and now they're $14. So you can almost double our money and then transfer that into how many people really saw it,
Yeah, and actually I saw it at a really cheap theater, because when I saw it at a dollar theater, which doesn't exist no more. Obviously it closed down, but all the movies there were $1.
Yep, I remember those theaters. Those are great.
Do you know what? There was never any Scary Movie video game. They could have made a Sims-like Scary Movie video game. They should have done it.
Yeah, people are living Scary Movie every day, Creech.
Oh, yeah, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
You can't turn on the news without seeing somebody has died.
But I would say, because we shared the costume with the Scream Killer, you know what I mean, the Ghostface, that that was a very popular costume for a long, and still is, like at Halloween. I still see Ghostface, who I got the pleasure of playing.
Well, do you now? I mean, especially seeing as it's on its second season, do you see the new Scream mask, the changed up one?
No, I saw a picture one time. I saw something of it. Yeah. What about it? Is it any?
I mean, I like the series. It's definitely an interesting take on the franchise. But yeah, the mask is definitely different. And since that is a hot topic more than the original Scream, I was wondering if you'd be seeing more of those at trick or treating instead.
I don't know. I don't know how. Is the MTV show Scream? Is it popular?
Yeah, it's on its second season.
Yeah,
and it's getting pretty good ratings.
When I was working with on that Ed Bassmaster show in New York and New Orleans, the other producers on that, the executive producers, that's their show, Scream. And they were having a lot of troubles writing the script for the first season. And I kept saying, oh man, just let me take a stab. Let me work on the writing thing. I really want to be involved. And we're already, we don't have any money to staff another writer, but the scripts aren't that good right now. We're working on them because I guess they didn't shoot right away. They were supposed to be in production and the scripts just weren't in place yet where they wanted them to be. And then I was like, well, keep me in mind for like a teacher role. So I would have loved to be in Scream, the TV show, just because of being involved in Scary Movie. You know what I mean? It would have been cool.
Exactly. Just kind of be in both.
Yeah, that's kind of how I really want to get any kind of little role in The Walking Dead, because I was in the spoof The Walking Deceased. I just want to have that sort of 1-2 punch that I was in both things. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, I'm going to tell you something. I shot 50 Shades of Black. Remember that movie came out this year?
Yeah.
And after I wrapped it, I was offered the lead role in 50 Shades of Gay. But they didn't have all their financing in place. And so I said I would do it, right? I'd say, okay, I was going to play Christian Gay. And they never got the financing, so therefore I never had to go over that bridge of, am I really going to do this? Because I just agreed to it. I was like, yeah, oh yeah, man, that's great. But part of me was like, oh, that'd be so funny to be in, 50 Shades of Gay and 50 Shades of Black, you know, like but it also probably would have pissed off Marlon. So I was like, I'm probably not going to do it. Let me see what the offer really is, because they didn't have the money yet. But, and that was the same thing with, I think there was 2 paranormal spoofs going on at the time, and I didn't do either. Oh no, wait, what am I talking about? I did Haunted House.
Yeah, 1 and 2, yeah.
And the first one is more of a sort of a parody of paranormal, right? Would you agree?
I would agree with that, yeah.
And then my friend Kevin Farley, at the same time I was shooting that, he was shooting some sort of paranormal activity or something like that. I don't know what it was called. And I think it's on Netflix. And he looks I think on the cover, he looks like Michael Moore or something like that. I can't remember, but he called me up and asked me if I was available to do the movie. And I turned that down. I said, hey, I can't do it because I'm in this other one, Haunted House, and it's a paranormal spoof as well. But that's when I realized, I go, why did I turn that down? I should have just did it. It would have been so funny that I'm in 2 paranormal spoofs. You know what I'm saying? And getting people to mix them all up all the time. It's just...
Exactly.
Just be the guy that's showing up on every... Like, you know, if they make 3 spoofs of something, he's in all 3 of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be pretty great, actually.
I want to be like the Where's Waldo of spoof movies type of thing.
Going back, as we were talking to the Halloween costumes, now I don't know how much merchandise there was actually created of Scary Movie, but they did make the masks. I know because I had one with the what's up tongue.
Yeah, we had
whatever.
Yeah, there was like, I think there was that one. There was definitely 2, maybe 3 of different masks. You know, just a smiley one, and then the one with the tongue hanging out. You had the one with the tongue hanging out?
Yes, I had the one with the tongue hanging out.
Nice. What's up?
Don't know where it is now. I had it last year, but don't know where it's gone. But yes, so they made that. Well, have you ever seen any of those?
You may have just lost $10,000. I think they're worth about $10,000 nowadays.
Yeah.
If I sign it.
Yeah, very true. But did you ever see any of those come to your house since then?
I think maybe one time. I don't want to profile, but there was a less fortunate family that I don't think had a lot of money to spend on Halloween costumes. And I think this kid was like 4 years old wearing a mask like that, like a couple years ago. Right. You know what I mean? like I think they either got it at
found it at a thrift store.
Yeah. Or like, it was like a cousin's from like 10 years ago. And it's just in a Tupperware bin of like a bunch of masks. And they just say, you're going to go out and get candy.
Well,
that's the kind of family. And they're out there, and it's, you know, I don't wish this upon anyone, but when they get the candy, they take the candy from their kids and they divvy it out for snacks, you know, over the time, you know what I'm saying? Like for lunches and et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's the kid's candy and he's going to go run upstairs and just eat it all. Like when my kid goes trick-or-treating, or kids, they just take their candy and I don't know what the hell they do with it. You know what I'm saying? I want them to eat it all one night. I'd rather they eat it and just get sick and just get it out of their system, you know, versus having the candy around forever.
I would agree with that. But then again, I'd like to eat all the candy too, so.
Exactly.
It's like I need to, you know, and that's the whole thing. Well, I need to check this. And then you just happen to check all of the good candy.
Exactly. Well, you know, the last year that we just went, we hit some houses that were giving out like the full-size Hershey bars and stuff like that, you know, or full-size Reese's peanut butter cups, like 2 of them, like a regular pack, right? And when we hit that kind of stuff, it was like when they were younger, it would be like, we're going to house. But when we find a gold mine, we head back there and I just kind of like, okay, you guys switch masks. Let's go get another one. All right, I'm going back up with these kids. Like I'll just go up with another set of kids. I'll just kind of hunker in behind them and grab another. So, and then even at the end, then we're like, hey, let's circle back to that guy with the full-size bars again. He's not going to remember us.
Well, back to the list. I actually looked at all of the Scary Movies to see just kind of, since then, how it's done. Actually, the franchise has done pretty well. It's close to $1 billion overall in the franchise. And even now, the Scary Movie that you were in is actually still the highest grossing Scary Movie film. Which, and I actually was a little surprised at how it ranked. I mean, not the first one. I thought the first one would probably be up there. But I was assuming the two R-rated ones, because the first one, second one, the ones Marlon did were R-rated. And then, I guess, to appeal to the teenage group out there, they went PG-13. And they've been PG-13 since then. But actually, it goes Scary Movie 1, then 4, 3, 2, and then the fifth one is actually the lowest grossing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was I don't think, not just because they took so long in between making that one, it was almost a decade, but just because it was really, really bad. Obviously, it's a franchise that's had some legs on it, and something I've wondered. I mean, I have other friends that are actors, but I've never really asked this question. Now, I see Scary Movie on Showtime and they aired on Comedy Central all the time. Was there anything when you signed the contracts back then? Was there anything where you got, residuals from this? Do you still get residuals from Scary Movie to this day?
I do. Yeah. That because it was a feature film, and so we were protected under whatever laws, agreements they had with SAG at the time, Screen Actors Guild. So, yes, there's been residuals. They go down over the years, though. I don't know how much I've gotten. And the residuals, after 10 years or a certain amount paid, I don't know, a certain amount of the residuals, you still get the residuals, but it doesn't count towards your pension or your health benefits.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. The next question is going to be actually about the actual filming. I know a long time ago, it seems like it's been forever, but when I had you on with Creech Questions, you talked about how you designed Doofy from everything from the upper white like crap on his lip to down to everything. Now, was there anything you used as an inspiration for Doofy?
I was doing that character already in short films and stuff like that, so I could probably dig that up. I don't know. I don't personally have a copy of it. There might be online, and I could Google for it. But I made a couple shorts with the character, and the character in that character, his name was Chip in the shorts, right? Because Doofy was the script, that was in the script. But my character from the short films was Chip, and he was actually based on a guy I grew up with in my neighborhood named Bruce, and also another guy that I met in college named Tony Radio. I kind of morphed the two together, but he was definitely more Bruce than Tony Radio. But the reason why I say the Tony Radio thing is because when I did the short film, he always had a weather radio with him, a little hand, because this guy, Tony Radio, always had a little handheld weather radio, and he would always repeat the weather off of it. You know what I mean? He'd be hearing the thing, and he would say, partly cloudy, chance of rain, like stuff like that. So in the short films, I had the weather radio, but I didn't have that, obviously, in the film. We replaced that with, the whistle and, little toy gun and stuff like that. So,
The vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. And that stuff was not my idea. All that kind of stuff. When I say I created the character, the white stuff, sure, the hairdo, I was already talking the way he talked because that's from Chip. But in terms of the police outfit or the mask or the gun or what would you say, the vacuum cleaner? That was all stuff.
Yeah.
That's all stuff that was already in the script, because they were spoofing David Arquette, from Scream.
Exactly. And the one thing I've ever wondered, since then, obviously, Have you ever ran into David? Had he ever mentioned that he'd seen the movie?
Yeah, twice. I've ran into him twice, which is actually not that much considering you'd think that we probably would have ran into each other in certain circles more than that. But he invited me to his Tripper premiere. Remember, he made a little horror movie called Tripper.
I do. Wasn't
like
the killer
Reagan,
like in a Reagan mask?
Yeah, that's right. Because I think it's supposed to take place like in the 80s, and it was okay. The movie was all right. And so I met him there, and then I met him at like one of these horror award things at like Universal Studios, where they were giving out awards. I don't think they were called Scream Awards, Gargoyle Awards, or Hunchback Awards. I forget what they're called, but I don't even know if they do it anymore. But it's during the Halloween, it sort of kicks off the Universal Horror Nights, and they have this like award ceremony, but really it's just mostly the actors and their friends, and they get up and give an award and they give a little speech, and then it's just open bar with some food. You know what I mean? So it's not really an awards thing. They don't televise it or anything. But then and then that ends and you get to go do the Halloween Horror Night stuff, So if like the awards dinner is at 7:00 and that ends at 8:30, and then you can go from 8 to like 1 and do all the rides and stuff like that. So that part was fun. That's actually why anyone even goes, is because they say you get to go for free to all the rides, and it's private. You don't have to stand in line.
Well, that sounds like a blast. So he had.
He knows I played the role, and he knows I was playing him, and it's not something that he's very happy with. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't mean to add insult to him. I mean, I really think you were just playing to how he actually. I mean, his character was one of the weaker characters in the movie because they had him as the bumbling cop,
Yeah.
I honestly think your portrayal was probably a little bit better, obviously, because of the more intentional comedic effect to Doofy.
Right. And also the fact that I'm the killer. So, it's kind of...
Exactly. Now, you played two roles in Scary Movie. Did that mean you got paid twice, or you still got paid the same amount just to do two different characters?
Yeah, no, I got paid the same amount. But the good news is because I played both roles, I was on set doing one or the other or both every day, right? And when you get your residuals, it is based on how many days you worked on the movie. So my pay, if I would have said, I just want to be Doofy, I don't feel like coming in and putting that mask on today, they would have got a guy. They would have said, all right, we're just going to get Jerry to put the mask on and chase this chick around. Not a big deal. But I was emphatic about wanting to be the character underneath that mask. I wanted to be the actor underneath that mask for everything. You know what I mean? I really didn't want anyone wearing that mask. And so that helped out with the residuals, because therefore my residual checks were much larger than what they would have been. And I didn't even know how that worked at the time, so that kind of was a happy accident.
Well, yeah, that definitely worked out. And actually, until hearing you talk about it when we've chatted about it before, I really didn't even know that you were under the mask. So that shows extra commitment on your end, because, I just assumed always that, they got a stunt guy to play the killer and then, just had you be revealed at the end. So I thought that was pretty good.
Yep.
Like, honestly, I didn't even know that you did the voice for the killer at first until you did it on that podcast. Oh, okay. And then I was like, oh, okay. So he did pretty much everything.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, because I think I did the voice live. You know what I mean? I mean, we're wearing a mic. So a lot of that I did in the moment. The stuff behind the couch or whatever it is just right there and then. And I might have had to re-record some stuff, but they just took that mic and just, they maybe made it a little, they might have tweaked it a little bit, like tinted it, so that it didn't have a lot of bass or something. So it sounds like I'm coming for the phone, but I think they just used a lot of the real on-set stuff I was saying.
Yeah, that's actually interesting, because I saw a trailer today when I was doing my research for the first Scary Movie, and I don't know what it was, but it definitely seemed like the audio was different. Like, I can't even tell if it's actually you for the killer, or dubbed over or anything. It was actually very odd, but they had all sorts of footage not shown in the movie.
You should send me a link, and I'll check it out.
All right, well, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and send you that link. I know you're not going to be able to hear it on your end to react to it this time, but we'll go ahead and play the trailer for everybody out there to hear it so they can hear the differences. And there's a lot of stuff that was actually surprisingly left on the table, Dave, that was never released in deleted scenes or anything like that, so I'd be interested in seeing more of this. But this was the very first official trailer, actually before they even had the big red blocky letters, so it's actually kind of interesting to hear. And if you go on YouTube and check it out, you can see the differences that were in this trailer from the final movie. And then when you get a chance to check it out, which, knowing you, will probably be in time for the 26-year reunion, you can let us know what you think.
That's right. Let's come back at 26 years.
Hello?
Wanna have a little fun?
Who is this?
Tell me your name and I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
Do you like scary movies?
Mm-hmm.
What's that noise?
Oops. I farted. I didn't think you would hear me.
Oh, stinky.
From the people who had nothing to do with Scream.
Daddy! Drew Decker got killed last night. She sits next to me in English class. Was she a friend? No. I was gonna cheat off her test today.
They didn't make the rules.
Oh my God, he's dead!
They're just too stupid to follow them.
We have to call the police.
No way! I ain't going to jail. It's okay, I'm fine. We'll get rid of the vibe.
This summer,
There are certain rules to follow in order to survive a horror movie. Rule number 1.
don't answer the phone.
I'm in the house. You know where I am.
You're behind the couch. I can, see your feet.
What? Oh.
Don't run in the woods.
I'm so scared right now.
Don't talk to reporters.
The press only wants to interview the most ignorant person they can find.
I'm on TV. Oh, gee. First cops, now this.
And whatever you do, don't be afraid to rise to the occasion.
Oh!
Ah, gee.
Dimension Films presents
That's my girl!
I just want you to look at some photos. Tell me what you think. No? No? All right. Well, worth a shot.
Go, 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 go!
Oh, man.
Scary Movie.
Can I tell you a secret? I see dead people.
Man, this is awesome!
Alright, so we're going to switch things up a little bit now, go from the trailer back to actually shooting the movie. You've told me stories. I did some research and found some other stories. And one of the stories that sticks out the most to me happened, obviously, while you were up there shooting in Canada. And it took place, of all places and all things, a lumberjack contest. Now,
No comment.
What do you remember
comment.
about going to lumberjack contests up in Canada?
No comment. Yeah, there was. So where did you find something about that? What was it?
I actually found this story on a blog with an interview you did in 2010, I believe.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, well, I mean, come on. First of all, because we were up in Vancouver. So I've never seen lumberjack contests before. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I was like, oh, I'm going to go to these things. And it's very little memory on this, but I know that I went to them. What did I say that I did? Because I was yelling stuff at them, but I forget why.
Apparently, what you did was you were inciting them, making it more competitive, so to speak.
Yeah.
And apparently you were egging on the other competitors to make them seem like you were some kind of nerdy uber superfan who knew everything about all of his favorite lumberjacks.
Yeah, now I remember that, because it's really not a contest. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like there's people that are watching, and then there's these guys, and they go and chop the trees really hard. You know what I mean? And they're racing, and they're climbing up the tree, and they're chopping it. But then they just go down and sit next to each other. You know what I'm saying? It's not like there's some like rivalry. You know what I mean? And so I remember I would just pick a guy and just heckle him as if I was the other dude's fan. You know what I mean? Like, so it'd be like, geez, you had some douchebag fans, Jerry. You know, like, cause he had to go, but they go and they just sit down right next to each other, you know, like when they're done, they just sit down, but they are holding axes. So you don't want to piss them off too much either.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But everyone else in the stand, it's not like anyone's cheering. They just sit there and watch. They just watch these guys do this thing, you know, they just sit there. So it's kind of like, who's the guy getting, like, it's football, you know what I mean? Like, it's so insanely I'm getting so into it, you know? So yeah. I remember that now. It was funny because the people sitting watching are just like, am I supposed to be that excited about this? Who is this guy? He must really be into, lumberjacking. And why is he a fan of Conway so much? Maybe that Conway guy is really good, So
they were just kind of cheering for everybody.
Yeah, it was funny. But that's funny. What was that on? What was that in?
Yeah, like I was saying, there was probably an interview you did with one of your friends who was from Buzzkill, like on his blog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that was from forever ago, so...
All right.
The next story I want to talk about actually comes from that same article, and it talks about your time in Canada being spent at the Sutton Hotel.
Or Sutton, one of those, yeah.
Yeah, Sutton Hotel. And one day, you got the wrong call sheet.
Okay. Was it Stallone's? What was it?
No, you actually got Sherman Hemsley's call sheet.
Okay, so I got Sherman Hemsley's call sheet. Was Sherman Hemsley in our movie, or was it for another movie?
He was not actually there for that movie.
Right, and so I was moving on up, basically. That's what I said.
Exactly. Yeah, as the story goes, apparently you got the call sheet, you went down to talk to the lady at reception, you were like, hey, look, I'm not Sherman Hemsley. And at which point, obviously, she got red-faced a little bit. She was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. There must have been a mix-up. At which point, you said, yeah, he's not in that room anymore because he's probably moved on up. And she just looked at you blank-faced because she didn't get the reference or the joke.
Yeah, that he's not in the room anymore. He's moving on up. Because he must have been staying there at one point, and he moved rooms, and then they called me to say, hey, a bigger room is available. Because, we're at this place for 2 months. You know what I'm saying? And when I first got there, you get a regular hotel room, and then you say, is there any suites available? And you're waiting. You're kind of on a waiting list. So I guess when Sherman Hemsley left, then I got his big suite.
Nice. Well, it's good to hear that they put you in a decent suite. Now, since you were one of the main characters of the movie, were the other cast staying in kind of like likewise suites, or do you know what they were staying in? Since you basically probably all stayed around the same general area.
Well, I think like Marlon and his brother and stuff, they stayed at a whole nother place. They rented apartments or something because they were going to be up there even longer, because they were there for pre-production, and they might have been there a little bit after post. Plus, they have a lot of family members, so they just got condos or something for a bunch of people to live in. And the other actors, yeah, I think we all had decent hotel rooms, but it was definitely on any one of these movies, when you check into the hotel, you try to get the best room you can get for yourself. You know what I mean? And sometimes, like I remember, I shot this movie called All's Fair in Love with Christina Ricci and Matthew Lillard. up in Flint, Michigan, and we were up there and it was right around the same time. It was September and October. That's a great time to shoot up there in Flint, first of all. But anywhere, September and October are good because it's, most of America is decent weather. It's not boiling hot somewhere or freezing cold somewhere. So those are good times to shoot films. So where was I going with this? Yeah, but we were staying in a hotel, and my role was nowhere near as big. Like, she was the star, right? And then there's producers and stuff. Somehow I got this kick-ass room with a jacuzzi, big bedroom, a kitchen, right? And me and my the guy that wrote it was a very close friend, like one of my best friends, and so he would come up to my room and he found out that I had this room, and I go, you can't. And he was like, dude, you can't tell anybody about this. And I go, yeah, wait, they don't have rooms like this? He goes, no, they've got little regular little rooms. I thought everyone had a room like mine, right? And I said, yeah, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. So we had to keep keeping it a secret. They're like, Dave, where's your room? And I was like, oh, I'm down the hall, and I knocked on the door. It was an old lady. I go, no, that's my room. I don't know. She must have been cleaning the room or something. So, because I wanted to hide the fact that I had this castle, like I was in the penthouse. Because the producers would have taken it away from me. They would have said, we're going to give that to Christina, so. Or they would have had to go get one for Christina, because if she would have found out, she was like, why does that guy have that room?
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to jump from sweets back into stories because I know that's what the fans love and the audience likes to hear. One story we're not going to cover here, you can hear about it on the episode that you did with me of Creech Questions. I believe it was episode 13. Either way, if you're listening, whether it's on WROM, Spreaker, iTunes, whatever, find a way to check out our podcast episode listing and just go to the Creech Questions episode. I believe it's 13. And you can find out and hear the story about Dave going into a sex shop to buy the prosthetic that he was wearing in the vacuum scene, which is a highly hilarious story. And also, even though we'll talk about it just very briefly right here, in the episode that we just recently did with Jared Cohn and Craig Moss, you told Craig about a Come to Jesus meeting you had with the stunt team. Like, those who don't know, I mean, he's mentioned it a couple of times on the other podcast. He did most of his stunts. Dave did most of his stunts as the killer. And so, stunt people, they don't get paid unless they do stunts. So, one day, after, not doing stunts for so long, they took Dave out on a trip to Taco Bell, and basically in the drive-thru gave him the Godfather speech, basically, saying it would be a shame if something happened to you if you weren't safe, and, basically insinuating that he needed to let them start doing stunts. Is that right, Dave?
Right. And they did. No, I mean, I did give them, the really hard stunts at that point. I said, yeah, go ahead and do it. So, I guess the other story is when I'm in the cafeteria, remember, and I get all the food thrown at me, and it's just hitting all my face if you watch the movie, and they're people off camera, they're only 2 feet away, and they're just, with each take, they're just winging this spaghetti as hard as they possibly can at me. And I just remember having to do the Doofy stuff and blowing the whistle and just getting slammed with the spaghetti. It hurt. You know what I'm saying? It still felt like a fist hitting me because it was a ball of spaghetti. And then in the principal's office with Principal Squiggy, and I go poopy in my pants. I did poop my pants a little bit on purpose. I wanted to see if I could do it.
No, so. You did it. There's no way.
Yeah. I mean, not it wasn't like a log or anything. It was just because I didn't have to go to the bathroom, so it was kind of farting and just trying to dribble something out, And
giving them something to react to kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I wanted to really... Look, I was pushing as hard as I can. A little bit came out in my pants, but I was hoping I would just dump a load and it would just roll down my leg and have it, because you're in there with Squiggy, you know what I'm saying? And just to have that sort of like fabled folklore of filmmaking that would travel around town. Did you know that Dave Sheridan really shit his pants and it rolled down his leg in that scene? That's the kind of stuff of legends, kid.
Well, even if you didn't quite get to become the stuff of legends with that, I do want to say that the role of Doofy was definitely legendary, and you did get to prank most of the cast and crew because they actually thought you were actually mentally challenged because you didn't want to go out of character.
Fooled a lot of crew because I didn't come out of my trailer as Dave. I came out as Doofy and just tried to stay in character. But I also did that. I think I told you I did that at like I wouldn't know if it was a callback, but it was like a chemistry test where once we were cast, they brought all the actors together. I told you that, right? Or that was what I was talking to Craig about, right?
Yeah, and then they pulled you aside and told you that you needed to break character.
Yeah. Yeah, and they said, you got to stop because the other actors are getting, like, upset. They think you are a special person, you know, and they think that we're taking advantage of you, playing this role. Please tell them you're not. So.
Well, you totally had me fooled because, I mean, even up until probably I saw you in Devil's Rejects. That was the next big movie I remember seeing you in. I thought Doofy was actually somebody, and then when they reveal the killer was Doofy and you take off the mustache and everything, I thought that was a different actor. And I thought that for a while. I mean, you did amazing as Doofy, and it was very believable. And, it's just, it's cool to see just the range that you had with that character, and then to be able to go from one character to the next, because even the killer at the very end and the smarmy part of you seemed like a completely different, and actually looked like a completely different person.
Yeah, you know, they didn't get the face transformation probably would have been better, but they did the transformation from the limp of the foot, and it panned up, right? And then by the time it got to me, I wasn't in the face anymore. And there was probably a take where I was in the face still, but it probably would have been better just to be tracking with a steady cam in front of me as I'm walking medium to close-up shot with Doofy's face and just have me start to drop it into the other sort of suave guy and then pull the thing out, because that probably would have just freaked people out. You know what I mean? So, but the Keenan, as a director, he wanted my hair already done up, you know, already slicked back. So I showed him how I could do it where it's like, okay, I have the hair like Doofy, and then if I have a comb, I can just hit it really quick. But it was more about the takes. We didn't have a lot of takes because there was a car. It's a steady cam. There's a car involved, hopping in the car with Sherry O'Terry. So she's got to hit a mark, and it's not a Martin Scorsese movie. So you've got like one take. We either did one take or two takes. You know what I mean? You don't take a lot of takes when you make these films. The directors just don't let you. I would love to take more takes, but they got to move on, you know? So sometimes I'm shocked that things are even as funny as they are when there's so little takes.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap up this retrospective on Scary Movie. It's been, honestly, a really fast-moving hour to me. I mean, we've covered a lot, got to talk a lot about the movie. I got to learn new stuff, and I know the audience out there, if they weren't too familiar with all the things going on behind the scenes, I'm sure they learned quite a bit too. I mean, you're very well loved by Doofy, even still getting fan mail from like kids like that Angel that sent you one on Facebook. We're going to actually talk about some of the fan responses next week. Just because we had such a great talk now, but we're nearing the end. And honestly, we want to thank everybody out there who was listening, who's been supporting us this whole time. Episode 28, this has definitely been for you guys, because a lot of you guys started liking Dave with Scary Movies, so it was good to finally address one of his biggest roles and one of the most thorough podcast interviews, whatever, anywhere. So it was nice to have this exclusive where we weren't doing any other celebrities interviews tonight, even though everybody already considers you celebrity. You may not, but everybody else does. It was nice to have you technically, quote-unquote, as our celebrity guest, Dave. And I know it was very painful, so I do appreciate you suffering through it for us and the audience.
I know. You did sort of twist my arm. As reluctant as I was, when you pepper in a few things, then I kind of do have to chat about it. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, or let me clarify that. So it was okay going down that memory lane a little bit. I'm definitely I'm gonna go to sleep as soon as I hit the pillow, so I will most likely forget about anything we said. So therefore, it will go back into the where is that memory
in the recesses
now?
Of your brain?
Yes, for another 16 years. Lock it up in the vault. Now, I'm sure we'll talk more. Doofy may even make an appearance more and more, right? I got to dig up my Doofy and Princess Leia picture. It might be on this hard drive I just backed my laptop up with, but because who's Princess Leia? What's her name? Yeah, I was dressed up as Doofy and I met her and we took a photo. So, I'm going to bed. But I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you listening, and I hope you had a good show or enjoyed our show. And if you had a show, I hope you had a good show too. If you got a show, send it our way. We'll promote you. You promote us. We scratch your back. You scratch our back. Is that how it is? Or I scratch you? I don't know. A lot of scratching. Just don't have poison ivy. Here we go. Enjoy yourself. Till next week. This has been the Dave and Creech Show on WROM Radio. Signing off.
Shut up and sit down.
Thank you for listening to the Dave and Creech Show. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of Dave and CJ. These views and opinions do not necessarily represent those of Creech Creative Productions or any of its affiliates.